And we are live, Madam Chair.
Okay, welcome everyone, and we can call the meeting to order. Do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest today? Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if you, on the agenda deal, if you wanted to change the matter still under consideration to the open meeting, I have no objections to that. It all started at the open meeting on the evening of February the 15th, so I don't see why we couldn't continue unless someone has an objection.
Peter?
It's up to the committee if they feel that it doesn't fall under the parameters of the MGA to go into close. It can be left in the open, that is for sure.
Okay, so that was discussion item A in the closed session, so then we won't have any reason then to go into closed session today then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I believe that the guild was taken off the agenda because if it's not, I would be in conflict because I don't think it's appropriate that I would be discussing anything about the guild.
So
as
if
a CEO.
if that is to stay on, Madam Chair, then you would have to vacate the screen until the committee deals with that, or if that's being moved to a future meeting, whenever it is, you will not be able to be part of that
No,
process.
but I believe that was taken off because it was put there in error, according to Tracy sent back. So I don't think that's not even on the agenda because Laurel hasn't even done her report yet on the existing 3 board members and when their times are up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're taking it off the agenda?
It was already taken off. It shouldn't have been on even here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, can we get an approval of the previous draft minutes from January 28th?
Sorry, just before you do, Madam Chair, where would you like to have the item for closed? Did you want that under 6B, I guess?
Yep. 6AB. I guess it would be 6C because if we're removing the guild, so it could be, we have board vacancies, surf committee, and then the ongoing HR matter.
Right.
Okay.
So it'd be the third section of 6A. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, so I guess we can move on to our discussion items. And the first one is under board vacancies, the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. So do we have another vacancy, Your Worship?
Yeah, what is going on, Madam Chair? Jamie McDonald, she's now the new Deputy Minister of Social Development and Housing, which is great for the city of Charlottetown. So that's a connection for us. So she has left that the advisory committee, so we have to fill her position.
Okay. I don't see we don't have the list with us today, so.
I'm just calling attention to it, Madam Chair, so we can have it at the next meeting. It's just that I wanted to bring attention to that, and also the next item, which is the SURF committee. We haven't replaced Mikey Walsh.
Mike Wasnich. Okay.
So that's all it is for that. It's just to give you notice. It's a notice of filling those 2 positions.
Okay.
So I have a question, Madam Chair. So are we going to just pick from the list, do you think, or?
I would.
So if there is not any names on the list in those categories, then we may have to then put it out there for the public who would be interested in either of those 2 positions.
Okay, good, thank you.
And Madam Chair, there are many names on both lists for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee and the SURF Committee.
Okay. So we want to then bring this back for next committee meeting with those lists so that we can review them?
Yes.
Okay, great. I guess we don't need a mover and a seconder for that. It's just an information piece.
And that would be due process, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay. All right. guess now we can move on to our final item, which is the ongoing HR matter. I don't even know how to introduce this one.
So the counselor has asked that this be added on, so for greater clarity, Madam Chair, the counselor should be asked the reason why he wishes to add it, and the intent, and what is he hoping to achieve with this particular direction.
Okay, so that's a question for Councillor Duffy?
That's correct.
Okay.
I think so. Things are going swimmingly well, aren't they? Holy smokes, 3 items gone, 2 items gone anyway in a matter of seconds. The reason I have this here today is we all will remember on February the 15th was our last regular meeting of council. And at that time, I asked Councillor McLeod if he had any word or any clarification on the situation of a package that we have down at the minister's office in Fisheries and Communications. And Councillor McLeod answered my question, and then another councillor rose to the occasion and wanted some time to speak. And I have do you have the document in front of you? Okay. The document is a verbatim translation of the councillor, the third person to speak, and that individual councillor went on for about just over a minute. But believe it or not, it was just a minute or more, just a tad more. I didn't think anything he was saying was true and to the point. He went on at great lengths about the CAC, and that's why it's here today. I decided to do the verbatim, and then I would address each issue in the verbatim, contained in the verbatim, and what I see. He was doing a lot of blaming on the CAC not following up on certain actions and that sort of thing. He was blaming me for doing things or not doing things, whatever the case may be, that wasn't in his. He didn't think was right to be done. So I've listed them out there. There's seven claims he has made in that 1 minute or so. I have the facts of the issues that he has claimed to have happened, and in some cases didn't happen or did happen when he said they didn't happen. So the reasons here today is that I plan to file a code of conduct charge with Mr. Kelly on the first of the week, and I just wanted to make sure, because he had implicated the council advisory committee in the things. I just want to make sure that my read, which you'll have on your paper there, my facts, so to speak, are coincide with the members of the CAC. I don't want at a later time somebody to pipe up and say, "Oh yeah, I remember this councillor having a request in to us to do something." The only, and from my point of view, and I'll finish with this, the only time I ever received, as a member of CAC, we ever received in the slightest way correspondence from this councillor was on August the 3rd of 2021, when he informed all of council, not just the CAC, all of council, that he was resigning from planning board. That's the only time. These other requests about my being in direct conflict of interest, I've never known that to come to CAC, and many of the other things that he brought to the fore. In other words, I'm just making sure that what he has said, what I have reacted to his statements, are in fact factual, and I welcome anybody to straighten me out, for the lack of a better term.
So again, if I could, Madam Chair, to the councillor, if just for clarity for the minutes, but also for process, the reason it is here is to seek clarity as to the comments of yourself or the comments of Councillor Tweel. Is that what I'm hearing?
Of Councillor Tweel.
And whether or not those issues stated by he was at a CAC meeting, is that what you're also indicating?
That's right. That's right.
And
He indicates actions have been taken, the concurrence of the committee, that in fact they actually did take place, the actions, whatever they may be,
and so,
or the lack of actions.
And so are you asking the committee to validate those
Yes.
points or
Yeah.
not validate those points. And
That's right. I'm asking for their input, in particular when it's input that is not coinciding with my read of the world, for the lack of a better statement. And they don't have to do it today. They can take this home and just write me a little note that what they have experienced and what I have down as my experience with the CAC and this particular counselor. They have had the same experience. In other words, in most cases, if not all cases, except for the 3rd of August letter to all council, there is no action that has been done by CAC, and that's the point. The counselor in question is stating that he wrote asking, for example, for a conflict of interest of myself, and that we've never received that request. That's just an example, and there's 6 other ones of like nature.
if
Verify my thinking of the situation is what I'm looking for, or where it cannot be verified. Indicate to me where I went wrong, and there's no hard feelings. That's
So if you're planning to move this issue forward to any direction, do you not wish to speak to the individual first, or are you wanting clarity here first before you go back and speak to the individual?
Peter, because he was blaming the CAC mostly for things, or for most of them, yes. I want from my colleagues on the CAC to agree with me or disagree, and when disagreeing, please give me the date and the circumstances and what was going on at the time, because I can't remember. I want to verify that what I've got on my white piece of paper here is the truth.
Okay. So I think, Madam Chair, and to be fair to all involved, whether Councillor Duffy or to the person being discussed, I think this needs to go closed. If you're going down this road, there are many issues that need to be discussed through this, and I think greater clarity should come through that discussion.
Well, I have no problem with that either.
May I speak, Madam
Go
Chair?
ahead.
Okay. So Peter, the whole problem I have with this is, you know, in Mike's piece of paper here, his report, it goes on to say, you know, what Councillor Tweedle had said, and the problem I'm having is if this is such a sensitive issue, and we have to go to close, well then why was Councillor Tweedle permitted on the February 15th meeting to go into this rant?
So let's again, without getting into the debate now, there are a couple points that should be brought forward to the committee. So let's again, if you wanted to continue today or put this on a future meeting, that's up to all of you, of course. But there are some things that we should clarify as we move forward on this file.
Yeah, you know, but again, my argument is, why can one do it and the others can't? And that's my point.
Correct, but again, going forward through our processes, the old adage is 2 wrongs don't make a right. So again, if we're going down this road, let's make sure that everybody is fully informed or fully apprised of what's happening, and if there needs to be further clarity, then to be fair to this step of the process, then it should be discussed in that vein.
Okay, so are we going to go into close today, Madam Chair, or no?
Sure. I mean, why do we want to? I mean, if we're just gonna, what was the point in having a meeting if we're just gonna move everything to the next meeting?
Yeah.
It's up to committee, but I mean, it's the rest. What are the thoughts for the rest of you?
Let's have a go at it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Your Worship.
Madam Chair, as Councillor Duffy said, this was brought up at our regular monthly meeting in February, and it was in the open session. And if I look under section 119 of the MGA, a matter still under consideration, I think we're beyond consideration. Councillor Duffy is now going to action. He's going to initiate a code of conduct complaint or charge. But going back to what Mr. Kelly said, process in the code of conduct is that whoever is counselor or staff, whoever is issuing the complaint, first part of the process is to sit down with the complainant and the person that has to defend himself or herself. So
That is
can't
correct,
we
Your
follow
Worship.
that process?
That is correct, Your Worship. But again, just as we move forward, there are a couple points that should be shared with the committee, and then you are absolutely correct that the first step in, if there is a complaint brought forward, then step one is for any of the parties involved to get together to try to resolve at that step one, Your Worship. But we're not there yet, and I think there needs to be, again, a couple points of clarity here.
And point, Councillor, I'll just finish up, Madam Chair. So we already have an issue down at the Minister responsible for Municipal Affairs and Fisheries, and they have not dealt with that issue. I know a report was given to the Guardian through one of their comms bureaucrats, but so I think we're starting to shoot all over the place. I just want to continue with what's down at the Shaw Building or the Jones Building. Let's wait for an answer from that process, and then we can start the next process, which is, as I said earlier, if we're following the code of conduct, there are steps in it, and the first step is if it's the mayor or the deputy mayor, they have to sit down with the complainant and the defendant to see if there's some common ground. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This issue here is separate and distinct, of course, than what's with Minister Fox down there. This is the 1 minute and 5 second tirade that was delivered on the 15th of February. This is the meat of the matter and the only matter. You know, I see them as two entirely different issues. And I thought to kick the ball off, first the person would have to charge the individual with a breach of the code of conduct, and then we would move into the steps as determined by the code of conduct that we all know as being a 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 step process. But without a charge, you're kind of blowing in the wind.
Go ahead, Councillor McLeod.
So following the process, folks, I think if it's okay, I'll make a motion to go into a closed session.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Is Jason with us today?
Deputy,
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
you what?
No, I was just answering Councillor McLeod's question. Yeah, good.
You in favor of going into closed?
I mean, it should be discussed in closed. I guess I'm just go back to even Councillor Duffy's point there. The document that he shared this morning, you know, I did read it briefly. I was at work. Didn't certainly have time to kind of study it or anything, Councillor Duffy. So I'm certainly not going to try to correct you on anything after just reading it once. But if we're going to keep this discussion going, yeah, maybe behind a closed session, if that's what the intent is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Your Worship.
Speaking to the motion, Madam Chair, Councillor Duffy said that these are two separate issues, but his document that he sent to us this morning relates to the original conflict or contravention of the code of conduct, and that is Councillor Tweel's unwillingness to sit on the planning board, planning committee, and heritage board. So they may not be directly connected, but the root is the same root, and the root is the initial complaint that Councillor Duffy put against Councillor Tweel in this issue is being now manifested or going in another direction. So to me, it's the minister, I think, will be quite confused by what we're doing up here, because there's already a complaint down with them based on what Councillor Duffy submitted some time ago, and then council submitted or passed a resolution to forward it to the minister's office. I think the process is already in place, and that should be what we follow until we get an answer from his office.
Okay.
That's speaking to the motion. I have one more chance to speak to the motion too, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Councillor Duffy.
On November the 23rd, that's when the first motion was, or the first breach of the code of conduct was on the go. And how it started back on November 23rd was I wrote to Mayor Brown and CAO Kelly, advising them that I was forwarding the breach of the code of conduct, and went on to cite in the, with a short background of what was going on and how it was connected to the code of conduct. And then that little memo to those two gentlemen, they took the ball from there, and they proceeded through the code of conduct step. I have no complaint with whatever way we do it, but that on November 23rd, that seemed to have worked. The complainer complained, and then the senior staff person and the senior elected person took the ball and went forward.
So,
Anyway, I can go either way.
So, Madam Chair, there was 3 individuals on the committee voted, three committee members voted to go in close, 1 against. So that's where it should be going, Madam Chair.
So, Madam Chair, again, excuse me that we took the vote, or that I didn't speak before the vote was taken, but I will wait till we get into closed session. But again, I want to make it very clear, I do not see any difference on what we're discussing from the document Councillor Duffy sent to us this morning and what started last year with this particular councillor being the defendant, Councillor Tweel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. So I guess we're moving into closed session.
Okay, just stand by, please.